On the menu today,
Get one for yourself.
Nostalgia is heroin for old people.
have we finally achieved time travel?
I've always wanted.
The TV's tuning frequencies are being pushed higher than they're meant to be. And you have to look at the camera. Oh well, join me today as we try to get my actual childhood bedroom TV working with my Commodore 64 in my childhood bedroom computer setup. Welcome to Retro Recipes. No, we can't go for a W. No.
Welcome.
Oh, hello chip dippers. Yes, sorry, caught me waggling my joystick there. But welcome back into my bedroom. Those of you that did see that previous episode where we set up and recreated my old childhood bedroom setups. Firstly, thank you basically just for getting it. The comments on that were mind-blowing. It is my most liked video, has 100% like ratio, and the comments were just moving and mind-blowing, and yeah, thank you. It means a lot to me that I've found my people and that you found me and that we can have this kind of fun together. And as one commenter pointed out, I think it was Dara O'Brien who said that
Nostalgia is heroin for old people.
which explains all this stuff that I've amassed. You can even see probably that it's looking a little bit messy because I've just been playing with it. And I came in here every day after filming that and I loaded up the Commodore Christmas demo. Been playing with floppy disks, Jupiter Lander. It's becoming like a messy bedroom, which I guess is kind of nice just to use it and love it. Now, a quick word. I'm not even going to try to top that last video. That one was something very special and I don't want to top it. It's just always going to be there for you to enjoy when you want to. And I actually have gone back and watched it a couple of times because it's created those emotions and reminded me of how important it was to rebuild these in memory of my childhood, in memory of my parents and all that stuff. I did have one comment that really made me sit back. I actually had a few that gave me pause for thought. But one stated that I should remember that I'm actually seeing this setup not through my childhood eyes, but actually seeing it for the first time through my father's eyes, through the way he would have seen it in his 40s when he looked at my setup in my bedroom. And that really got me thinking because, yes, as I admitted at the end of that video, it is kind of bittersweet and it doesn't have quite the same appeal as it did back then. But what does have the appeal is funneling that childhood experience through my adult eyes. I could script this video, but some things you can't really put into words. That was a special thing to remember. No, I said I wouldn't try and top that video. Okay, enough of that. Anyway, that's all very boring. What's exciting is I've actually been trying to remember exactly when I bought my computers. These are the things that created this channel, and it's important for me to give you accurate info and just remember for myself. And I've never actually been 100% sure of the timeline. For example, in the video, I said in the text that appeared on top of the screen that my dad brought home the Apple IIe and that monitor when I was 9 years old, but that's not true. It can't have been because the Apple IIe wasn't released till I was 10, in the UK at least. So thanks to Mark Hourahane, and also thanks to a lot of people who helped with this video. By the way, I'll put all your names just here on the screen. But he's been helping me dig through like when Simmons McGee in Twickenham actually started stocking that exact monitor. And it turns out they didn't start advertising that until 1983 and beginning of 1984. So that would have meant I was probably just 11 years old. She's desperate to say hello. But the reason I said I was 9 is because it just felt like I was 9. Those kind of core memories. You have those, don't you? She's only 4. Those memories just felt so young. But yeah, apparently I was 11. But then I was trying to figure out, okay, well then when did I get my Commodore 64? It was certainly a couple of years after the Apple IIe arrived in the house in my dad's home office. But then I realized this slimline case, I found a reference to this in a letter that I typed to my friend Ladyfractic typed on the good old Amstrad PCW, and I typed that in 1987, saying I had just got this. So we know that I converted this in early 87, and I'm pretty sure I got it about a year after the Apple IIe. So we're going to say 1985, which then confuses me because this came out in 1984, says it on the back there, and I'm sure I got it for Christmas. I know 100% I got it for Christmas. So I must have got this in Christmas 1985, which means it had probably been in the charts and the magazines and stuff all through from Christmas 84 onwards. And I probably wanted it all year, which explains why I was so happy to actually find it under the Christmas tree. So yeah, 1985. And I thought it would be fun to plug in all those dates. I just made a text list and gave it to the new AI that you've probably seen doing the rounds on social media and stuff. It's called ChatGPT. It's from OpenAI. I plugged it in and I said, can you turn this into a visual timeline? And this is what it did. Pretty cool, huh? Now, in my research, I also came across this video. This is my hometown of Richmond, Surrey, in Greater London. And this shows WHSmith's on the left, Boots on the right,
And Dixon's.
as they were in 1982. 3 years after this was filmed, I was shopping in those stores for all my Commodore 64 stuff. Of course, that's the Boots tape player that I mentioned in that first video. Ghostbusters was from WHSmith's and had to be returned to WHSmith's because it was faulty on Christmas Day.
Faulty? What's wrong with him?
You all know that story by now. And also here at the end of the video, way down the high street, is my local Tandy. And I've got a whole bunch of things in these storage boxes down here that I probably bought from that Tandy. I was always going in there for audio adapters, 2.5mm to 3.5mm, and all kinds of crazy things. And I do miss those shops. One other thing bothered me. I clearly remember the click trolley that we had for the Apple IIe. And I was able to find, the photos, adverts of it to know that I was 100% correct. But the desk that I had my Commodore 64 on was just a memory. There's no photos of it in the house. And it really started to bother me that I actually couldn't even prove to myself that I was remembering it right. So I became determined to find a photo or something of that desk. And I found this. Now, I don't know who that guy is with the cat on his shoulder, but just behind them, you can see the actual desk that I had my Commodore 64 on. Now, this was 10 years later. This video was taken on High 8 camcorder. I think it was a Sony, yeah.
But I have a rental property left in England that I used to live in, and it occurred to me some of my furniture was left behind as it's a furnished flat. And look what that is. It's still there, and I still own it, which means I can ship it here. But there's only one problem.
Can you spot the deliberate mistake? Yeah, I got a lot right, but actually the desk is the other way around. The drawers, weirdly, were on the left. Maybe my dad bought it because he was left-handed. But also, speaking of photos, I did find this photo. Now, I've said that I had no images of my computers, but here's me on my 21st birthday. I didn't look at the details when I went through these, but I'm holding my Psion Series 3A. Hold that thought. It's a little dusty. This isn't mine. I think I got this from Chris Blythe, if I'm not mistaken. He certainly gave me some Psion organizers. But yeah, I love this thing, and I am planning one of the many things on the admittedly long list, a video all about the Psion Series 3A and all the other organizers that were in that family. I suppose that could go on here, couldn't it? But also on that video of that guy with the cat, I think possibly the first video I ever made about a computer. There I am with my Sony Vaio. Now, admittedly, the PCs that I bought after the Commodores and Ataris and stuff just were never special to me. And I actually wrote about this recently in Zap Amiga, that I just never found one that I felt had a soul or a real personality. Not in the way that the Commodore and the Apple IIe did. But yeah, there it is either way. And before we wrap up this intro, you guys said, what you wouldn't give to just be able to go back and look over your shoulder as a 10-year-old turning on your Commodore 64 for the first time and typing in programs from the Commodore 64 User's Guide, for example. And that really is the desire, is I don't need to time travel physically in a machine and interact with my past self like Marty McFly. Speak of the devil. But yeah, just to be able to watch, just smile and definitely cry, let's be honest, as our childhoods lit up in that way that these machines, these incredible machines, allowed. And I've been looking in a lot to the theoretical, actual ways that science says we could actually go back and have a look. For example, James Webb Telescope is actually looking at stars as they were tens of thousands of years ago. So I've been researching, what if you had a James Webb thing and you moved it 37 light years away and had a big enough telescope that you could look back to see that light coming from 1985 just hitting that lens. There's a lot to it, and it's probably impossible. In fact, I think the whole thing, well, right now at least, is tragic in its impossibility. But this really is, therefore, the next best thing. This has been bittersweet, but it has definitely been a form of time travel. And as I said, the fact that I came back in here several times and have continued to do so, well, it goes to show you that it's better than nothing. Anyway, let me know if you'd like a video about how we could theoretically actually time travel back to when we were children. Comment below. Little quick update then before we get on with the main thing of this video. I want to talk to you about the Walkman real quick. I found this on Etsy. There's Ladyfractic on my iPhone, and that's my iPhone. Unfortunately, it doesn't have MagSafe, but I'll put a link to it in the description below in case you want to get one for yourself. It's pretty cool, I think. But all of that nostalgia did inspire me to buy a couple of other things. This I mentioned in a recent Shorts video. I've always wanted one of the Casio blood pressure EKG watches. I am going to open it up in an upcoming video and we'll try it out, but I've just always loved that design of watch. Beautiful stuff. So we got ourselves one of those. And would you believe they still make these? This is the alarm clock that woke me up for school probably every day for maybe a decade or something. I thought it might be fun just to quickly take it out of its packaging and make that alarm sound one more time, just for nostalgia's sake. It's completely silent. They've probably improved quite a few things because look how smooth that seconds hand is now. Yes. Okay. I'd forgotten that it got faster. Yeah, and then louder. Because I would always race to hit that before it got faster. Definitely before it got louder. Oh, shit. Oh, definitely remember that very well. Sorry. Gotta stop doing that. I might just replace the one by my bedside with that. And quick desk update. I've added this pencil holder. I had one of these exact things and they either still make these or this is new old stock, but I found it on Fleabay. But I definitely had this on my Pine desk later in life. So that has to go there. With a little Hollywood magic. It's blue tack. Other updates here, I found the exact camera I used to have. This was a Halina Teleflash. And I know that's the exact one I had because I found it in the Argos catalogue. And there's probably more things, but I think that's enough for now. One quick correction though, before we get on with things. In that last video, I did thank Paul Newcombe for helping me find the actual monitor. Only I got his name wrong. So it wasn't Paul Newcombe, it was Jon Newcombe. So my apologies to you, Ringo. George. Now, on with the rest of the video. Let's see if we can fix the static problem. To start, let's connect the C64 exactly as I used to as a kid, using the RF output cable. With this, the computer basically transmits its image on its own TV channel from this cable and into the antenna input of the TV, so you can tune your TV to that channel to pick up the Commodore signal. So let's press auto search, and the TV will scan for and lock onto any channel that it finds. Only it just doesn't ever find the C64's channel for some reason. Well, at the back of the C64 is a screw, or sometimes a switch, that lets you adjust what frequency the C64 outputs its channel as, either lower or higher. And in RF terms, radio frequency terms, it usually outputs around channels 36 to 39, with a frequency of around 605 to 623 megahertz. But no matter what I set the Commodore to output at, the TV still just finds nothing. Stupid Boots TV. But I've noticed something. The TV's clock is running fast. Have we finally achieved time travel? Well, no. I think the culprit is actually the US mains power supply. You see, UK mains has a frequency of 50 Hz, whereas the US frequency is 60 Hz. And if you touch it, it really hurts. But all this means that the timing crystal for the clock in the TV is being driven around 1/6 faster than it's meant to be. So could it also be that the TV's tuning frequencies are being pushed higher than they're meant to be, meaning that here in the US, the TV can't see frequencies inside the limited range the C64 can transmit at? Well, to test this theory, please meet my family's original dual record player that I shipped over from the UK. Now, this thing is very special to me too, and I was actually using it to play Beethoven vinyl records that my dad and I would buy together when I was about 8 years old, before I even really knew about computers. But anyway, I've bought this UK battery backup uninterruptible power supply, because this is designed for UK usage. It will output power at the UK's 50 Hz frequency, completely independent of the US mains power. And indeed, connected to its battery, the turntable, as you can hear, is playing at the correct speed. But watch what happens as soon as I connect the US power supply via a step-up voltage adapter. Yeah, that 60 Hz power supply takes over from the 50 Hz battery power supply and starts driving the turntable at 60 Hz. So it's now not so much Pet Shop Boys as Pet Chipmunk. What's really weird though, and I actually can't understand this, is even when I disconnect the US mains completely and it goes back to solely that UK 50 Hz battery driving the turntable, it's as if the 60 Hz has infected the battery device and it won't return to 50 Hz unless I disconnect the battery manually. Really weird stuff. Anyway, let's go run the TV from the battery in its 50 Hz UK mode and see if that fixes our problem. Sadly, no. So this rules out the mains frequency as being the main cause of our issue. But I've got some other ideas. So come on, let's go find this ghost in the machine.
good at this. That's beautiful. Oh my God. Wow. Well, there it is, and isn't it beautiful? It's really amazing to me that that's the exact picture quality that I would have seen for 3 or 4 years of my life. Probably every day I feel like I played with this. And it is nice, although I didn't keep my original Commodore 64, that if you think about it, the bulk of what's on this desk, at least by weight, is my original gear. That is really special to me. Actually, in reality, just this tape holder here, this TV, and nothing else is original. But it's all the same exact parts. But the question that you're probably asking yourself, and I've certainly been asking, is why did what we did work when the other things didn't? And I think what's most likely is that something to do with the tuner itself, possibly a resistor or transistor or capacitor has failed in there. I don't want to take it apart though, that's the thing, because it's so special. It's a tricky one. I will probably at some point succumb and whip out a soldering iron. But for now, what we can do is there is a clip on the back, a clip-on back on the back. We can just unclip that. Let's at least just have a look inside, shall we?
This is what it looks like. Look at this. This looks like a city, like a little model of a city. And all the houses which are here, and streets. This is maybe an elevator to go up there.
And inside our little city there, we saw that the tube is made by Samsung, which explains why I was blown away by the image quality when I saw this. So of course that's not something I remembered how it looked, just remembered that it was, not how it was. So yeah, a Samsung TV here after all. I should mention as well, having looked at that little city, that this episode is sponsored by PCB Way! And they're great quality PCBs starting at just $5. And because it is Christmas, they've sent us this gift package, which I'm going to be unboxing during the filming of The Retro Show, our Christmas special, coming out on Christmas Eve, December 24th. That would be a weird Christmas, wouldn't it? So we'll unbox that, but thank you PCB Way for sponsoring this. Very special. But anyway, yes, we didn't see anything leaking or obvious inside. It could just be that it needs a new tuner. Really, we don't need to, do we? Because it works. It looks amazing. It looks amazing. So, yeah. What can I say? Job done. Now, I am feeling nostalgic, and I think we should just finish up this recipode by doing something a little Christmassy. Now, I could run the Christmas demo, but we did that last Christmas. I'll put a little link right there so you can play it if you want to. Why is that not? Why can't I reach over there?
That's weird. Oh, there it is. Okay. I will put a link up there if you want to play that back, because that was very nostalgic and special. I think we should load up something else that came with the compendium. It is this, The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole. Now, if you are from the US and A, you may not have heard of this, because I think Adrian Mole was only popular in the UK. It's actually a book. It was written by Sue Townsend, and it was turned into a computer game, which was bundled with that compendium. It says the program is copyright 1985, which again tells me when I got my Commodore 64. Without further ado, it is already rewound on one side. Yeah. So I'm going to hit Shift or Run Stop and press play on tape. And I have not seen this, even in screenshots, since I was 12, 13, maybe 14. I remember reading the book though and loving it. It was all anyone was talking about. Very much about the trials and tribulations of growing up. And I suppose the full name of the book is The Secret Diary of Adrian Mole, as it's found Mole 1, aged 13 3/4. And that's probably why we're all so into it, because it was one of those things that, as a growing boy, you first discover. And just before we have a quick play, and because I know you guys will ask in the comments how I'm recording a clear signal from the C64 like you saw just then, well, I've attached the RF adapter to the back of the desk, and alongside it I'm using a RetroTink S-Video to HDMI adapter. You can find that in the tools I use links in the video description. So the signal travels from the Commodore 64 composite output into the composite in here, and back out of the RF out and up to the TV. The audio, however, comes out of the Commodore 64 and into these splitter cables. The left and right goes to here, and the second left and right goes to here. This is also output to the TV. The question now is, how does this get the video from the Commodore 64? Well, luckily the cable from the Commodore 64 has both composite and S-Video. So the S-Video goes into here, and the composite's all we need for this because, well, RF is worse than composite anyway. Either way, somehow it still looks great. Finally, the HDMI cable comes out of here and over and up and out there. So whenever I need to plug in the laptop to record something, I just grab that and stick it in the Adrian Mole. It's rhyming slang for hole. Stop the tape immediately. I don't remember any of this. Tell me if you do. Press shift when the game pauses. Oh, I do remember this. Thursday, January 1st, bank holiday in England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales. It's like a public holiday. These are my New Year resolutions. I will stop squeezing my spots. I will help the poor and ignorant. My father got the dog drunk on cherry brandy at the party last night. January 3rd, my mother is not doing any tidying up. There's been a slice of bacon between the cooker and the fridge for 3 days to my knowledge. 1, keep quiet about it. Oh, so this is actually a bit like Alter Ego, isn't it? Actually very much like Alter Ego. I think I did a live video during our lockdown live streams playing Alter Ego. I'll put a link to that up here somewhere as well. So there it is. It's just like reading the book with some decision making. I thought that was a Christmas stocking, but apparently it's some eyeballs and just a dirty old sock. But either way, I think I will wrap this up. You get the general idea with this. You can guarantee, though, that on Christmas Day I'll be loading up the Commodore Christmas demo and Ghostbusters. Well, from loading up to unloading and offloading, it's time to offload you and unload this video. Thank you, as always, for joining me in my little sanctuary here. Subscribe and support below. And cheerio. Right, let's squeeze some spots. What's that in inches? Tell Pandora about her eyes being the same as the dog's. She asks what kind of dog it is, and I say it's a mongrel. Red War and Peace. It's like a Russian version of Dallas.